The Atlanta Falcons were a tiebreaker away from sneaking into the playoffs in 2025. It didn't feel like they were a playoff team, but sure enough, just a few key plays decided their season. It was a roller coaster of a year for the Dirty Birds, led by one elite running back who tried his darndest to drag this team across the finish line. It's time to break down the fantasy season for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not sure you could have had a more even split in production than Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins. In 9 games, Penix threw for just under 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions. Meanwhile, Cousins did his best to match that number in 10 games, where he started 7, going for 1,721 yards, 10 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions. Both players were pretty unplayable for fantasy, but just good enough for real-life football. Cousins is most certainly gone next season, opening the door for Penix to have full control of this offense under new head coach Kevin Stefanski. We just have to hope his leg heals in time for the season after his 3rd ACL tear ended his 2025 campaign. I'm not going to spend too much time on Bijan Robinson. This format will not do justice to the unbridled excellence he showcased this season. He had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. His 820 yards receiving is good enough for 32nd amongst all pass catchers. The only running back with more was Christian McCaffrey. Bijan Robinson was only the RB3 in fantasy because he had just 7 touchdowns on the ground. Robinson is shaping up to be the consensus RB1 off the board next year, and it's crazy to think he might not even hit a ceiling yet, and that'll be because of our next fellow. We have to discuss the biggest thorn in every fantasy manager's side, Tyler Allgeier. It was his persistent presence each week that capped Bijan's real ceiling. The Falcons' backup running back fell into the end zone 8 times on as half as many carries as Bijan. He added a modest 500 yards on the ground, which is fine for an RB2, but still a drastic drop from his rookie season where he eclipsed 1,000 yards. The best news about Allgeier is his free agent status heading into 2026. He's going to be looking for a new team, so we can't really break our hearts anymore. He's a good running back. It would be just much nicer knowing that we don't have to worry about him stealing Robinson's touchdowns over and over and over. Onto the wide receivers we go, where there's only one real name to talk about. Drake London played in just 12 games and still finished as a wide receiver 17 in half PPR. In that shortened season, he managed to earn 112 targets, 919 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He beat out the next player at his position by 500 yards. The moment London has a full season of competent quarterback play, he will be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy football. The other wide receivers barely made a blip on the radar. Darnell Mooney had an injury that was much worse than initially reported, cutting his season of semi-hope much shorter than expected. David Sills was the 3rd best wideout on this roster, and he couldn't top 200 yards on the season. It was a bit of a wonder how that offense operated at all. Maybe it was probably because Kyle Pitts finally actually did something this season. Pitts wasn't a true dominator of the position all season, but he was elite when it mattered. Yes, the bulk of his points came from the 40-point effort at the end of the year. And sure, maybe it's more of an indictment on the tight end position as a whole, but you gotta admit, that was still pretty cool, right? The Falcons are going to lean heavily on Pitts with a new head coach who was able to get the most out of the tight end position in his previous spot. The Falcons' playoff window is slowly closing as their young stars are going to need new contracts soon, so they're going to really hope to get the most of guys like Kyle Pitts. Looking ahead to 2026, the Falcons could really use a wide receiver on the other side of Drake London. They have their alpha wideout. They just need a secondary weapon to open up the passing game just a little bit so they can push themselves over the edge. And really, they need to shore up that defense. There's still some missing pieces there on the front 7 that can help this team turn the corner and win a relatively weak NFC South. What do you think the Falcons need for 2026 to maybe make a deep push in the playoffs? Let us know down below, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to Fantasy Now Plus so you get all the best and latest fantasy content that we have to offer, and make sure to have the alerts on so you get the earliest notification of when our next video is out.